to have a long career. That's the goal, to be in the league for 20 years. I tell you, that's the goal.
Garth Gilmore told me one time, he played for Chicago, he said, if you expect to play a long time in this league, you better quit mopping up the floor. And I thought, well, he's crazy, because that's what basketball is all about.
Bird takes it away from Wilkins, goes to the floor and gets it up ahead.
And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Larry Bird barely speaks publicly anymore. The Hall of Famer, who spent his entire career proving every statement with his play, has mostly watched today SNBA debates from a distance. He stayed quiet while players argue about who truly belongs in the greatest ever conversation. But insiders close to the Celtics legend say a comment Kevin Durant made on LeBron James' podcast finally pushed Bird past his limit. And what he's now saying privately is something every basketball fan needs to hear.
Yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in, I got 4 MVPs and 4 championships. Like, but do I still want to do this shit? You know what I'm saying?
You know how hard it is.
Some people say, I want to go play baseball.
Right?
Yeah. And then I want to come back. Or some people say, I'm going to go 22 straight.
Coward.
The whole thing kicked off on LeBron's Mind the Game podcast. Durant sat across from him as they talked about careers, longevity, and what truly separates great players in the NBA. Then Durant dropped a line that sounded innocent at first, but carried a much sharper undertone. He brought up Michael Jordan's 1993 retirement, smirking as he did it. Some people say, I want to go play baseball, Durant joked, giving LeBron a look that said plenty. LeBron immediately burst into laughter, and the cameras caught every second. Both men understood exactly what they were implying, making Jordan seem like he walked away from basketball, as if he got bored and switched to something easier.
You know, my father just passed. We just finished our 3rd championship season where, we had a lot of different personalities, going against each other. And
individual goal was that Magic, Bird, Isaiah never did this. So that meant a lot to me to do it for the 3rd time, yes. I won't say that I'm better than those people.
LeBron has been playing for more than 2 decades. So the message underneath Durant's line was obvious. Longevity equals toughness. Staying in the league supposedly proves you're more dedicated than someone who stepped away. But that's exactly why the comment rubbed so many people the wrong way, and why insiders say Larry Bird finally refused to stay quiet. Durant's joke completely ignores the truth of what happened in 1993. Michael Jordan didn't. To just wake up one morning and decide basketball no longer interested him. That summer, his father, James Jordan, the man who pushed him, supported him, and shaped the champion he became, was murdered during a robbery. Michael had just finished winning his 3rd straight title. He was at the height of his powers, the face of the league, and carrying an emotional weight most people will never understand. He stepped away from basketball to grieve, to breathe, and to honor the man who raised him by pursuing a dream they had talked about for years, playing professional baseball. So when Durant casually tosses out that smirking line about some people want to play baseball, he isn't just cracking a joke. He is boiling one of the darkest moments in Jordan's life down to a throwaway punchline, turning a family tragedy into a way to make. Jordan looked fragile next to players who stayed in the league longer. And LeBron laughing along with it, co-signing the moment, is what reportedly pushed Bird over the edge. Because Bird understands pain. He finished his career with a back so damaged he had to lie on the floor before games just to get his body ready to move. He knows what it means to play through injury, through loss, through emotional strain. And he knows that what Jordan did in 1993 wasn't quitting, it was being human.
I competed hard. I played the game the way it was supposed to be played. I played injured, and I played with a lot of pride. So I owe everything to the NBA.
Michael Jordan, the Magic Johnsons, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley's, we earned what we got. When the corporate America came to us, we had a game that could validate their admiration and
sponsorship and all that, yeah.
Now they get that before they play one game.
Yeah.
So you're rolling the dice to see if this kid's ever going to be good or not.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're paying the kid off of potential.
Yeah.
That he may be great.
You don't think that's good?
No, because I think it sets bad work ethic. When you get something so easily, you're not going to work as hard.
Let's go back to what was really happening when Jordan retired the first time. Was it after a rough playoff exit or getting blown out in the finals? Not even close. Jordan stepped away after completing a three-peat, 3 straight championships, a feat Magic Johnson never reached, Larry Bird never reached, and Isaiah Thomas never reached. Jordan climbed to the absolute summit of the sport, stood there by himself, and then walked away while carrying the worst personal tragedy of his life. That isn't quitting. That is a man who was mentally and emotionally drained after holding up the entire league during a period of unimaginable grief. And here's where the irony hits hard. Who's making these comments about Jordan? Kevin Durant, a player widely viewed as one of the biggest quitters of the modern era. In 2016, Durant's Thunder were up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. They collapsed, they lost. And what did Durant do next? He joined the very team that beat him, not just any team, but the 73-win Warriors loaded with Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. That decision is still considered one of the weakest moves in NBA history. And it didn't end there. Durant bailed on Brooklyn when things got tough, demanded a trade because he couldn't handle the pressure of leading his own franchise, then went to Phoenix. And when that didn't unfold perfectly, he was ready to move again. This is the man suggesting Michael Jordan quit.
What's happened to the rivalries in today's game? Like, I mean,
they don't hate each other.
That's
they don't like. See, I hated Larry and every Celtic. I really don't like you, but you're my little brother. Now I love you because you out of that green and white. That's what it was, right? You. The Celtics, Lakers hate each other, disliked each other. So it made for great TV and people tuning in. And now, with, I don't know if it's AAU, I don't know what it is. Now everybody's shaking each other's hand. Everybody like each other, won't go at each other like really hard. Even that's what happened to the All-Star game, see?
Yeah.
See, the All-Star
carried into the All-Star game. Right there.
See, we hated the East.
Right.
I'm coming to bust you.
Right.
Michael, Isaiah, Dr. J. You can't have one over me. See, I'm coming to get that. Now,
see, Magic, this is what I
let
said.
them score 200 to 200. What is that?
LeBron and KD and Steve Nash did their little podcast thing, and they always drag the legacy of Michael Jordan.
What is it called? Was it Cry Me a River?
Cry Me a River. I think
Cry Me a River podcast? Oh, my God. I tell you what, man, listen. I was watching
Revisionist history, they should call it.
Yeah, you know what, Mark? Great players don't have to tell people they're great.
Yeah, that's true.
You let fans do that. You let people debate it on talk radio and podcasts. You know, players don't have to do that. You know, that we all know you're great. You don't have to tell us. You know, when you have to go around trumpeting that you're great and what separates you from all the other people that makes you greater than them, that's a problem. You know, that's a problem. That's why I say it's a Cry Me a River podcast, because you're crying and moaning about what they said. And they were kind of sneak dissing MJ. If you really listen between the lines, you know, they were talking about, Kevin Durant was talking about how longevity is more important than rings and all that other stuff. Being in the league basically for 20 plus years shows the dedication and the hard work that you had to do to stay here. But he failed to mention, you know, the load management and this guy only playing in no more than 3 times in his career, you know, 82 games in a season.
Yeah, right.
LeBron's only played 1 time 82 games in a season. MJ 9 times in his career played 82 games, plus the playoffs and championships that goes into 115 games. So to listen to these guys discredit the former players and how great they were to you know, basically step on top of them to get themselves higher is really sad.
Then there's LeBron. When things became difficult in Cleveland the first time, he packed up and took his talents to South Beach to join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. When Miami started slipping in 2014, he returned to Cleveland. And when that situation eventually ran out of steam, he left again, this time for Los Angeles. Every time real adversity appeared, LeBron found a new destination. And to be clear, switching teams isn't a crime. The NBA is a business. But you can bounce from super team to super team for an entire career and then mock Michael Jordan for stepping away after a three-peat while grieving his father's murder. That isn't just disrespectful, it's delusional. And the podcast conversation didn't stop at the baseball line. Durant kept pushing the point, saying the true goal for an NBA player should be lasting 20 years in the league. Not chasing championships, not winning MVPs, not squeezing every drop out of your talent and dominating every season. Just longevity, just staying around. And LeBron nodded like Durant had just delivered a profound truth, when in reality it showed a complete misunderstanding of what greatness really is. This is where Jordan's entire philosophy blows their argument apart, and where Larry Bird's reported reaction hits directly at the core of the issue. Michael Jordan never chased longevity. He chased excellence. Every season had one mission: maximize himself, elevate his team, win titles, and dominate on both sides of the floor. Jordan officially played 15 seasons, but realistically only 13 full ones when you account for his retirements. And in those 13 seasons, he captured 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 10 scoring titles, and earned 9 all-defensive selections. That isn't just impressive. That is as close to perfection as the sport has ever witnessed.
But you have to really play hard. Does that hurt you physically?
No, because when I play hard all the time. You know, there's no turn it on here, turn it off here. It's just 110% at all time.
We come to practice, he's on one leg. Like he was hurt the second year, he was on one leg the whole year and played 82 games. Wow. Like, and so he practiced every day and he played every game on one leg. And so he's like, man, MJ, why don't you just sit out? How can I be the leader of the team and sit out and y'all going through all the credit? I gotta be there.
I twisted my ankle and I had a teammate, David Greenwood. He says, you know, you twist your ankle, young fella, come over and sit with me. You know, this is, you need to. I said, no, man, I'm trying to make a name for myself. There's no way I can sit. You know, I need to get out there and show what I'm capable of. I want to play. I want to win. I want to make an impact.
Now look at Durant and LeBron together. They've logged 39 combined seasons, nearly 3 times longer than Jordan's true peak. And what's the end result? 6 championships between them. 5 regular season MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, 5 scoring titles, and 5 all-defensive selections combined. Nearly 40 seasons of basketball, and the total still doesn't surpass what Jordan accomplished in roughly a decade. Twice the time, half the impact. Now let's talk mentality, because that's where the real separation begins. When Jordan entered the league in 1984, he played all 82 games as a rookie. And this was during a far more physical, unforgiving era. Teams flew commercial. Most franchises had one trainer and maybe one strength coach. Back-to-backs were constant. The schedule was brutal, and yet players showed up anyway. In the 1999 to 2000 season alone, 58 different players suited up for all 82 games. Compare that with today, the 2020s, which have produced the worst player availability numbers in NBA history, despite athletes having every possible advantage. Private jets, full medical staffs traveling with the team, advanced sports science, cutting-edge facilities, personal nutritionists, and players are appearing in fewer games than ever. Why? Because the mindset shifted. Jordan lived by a philosophy that defined everything he did. Being an NBA player was a privilege, never a chore. He knew fans saved money, rearranged schedules, and came to arenas expecting to see the best players compete. If you're making tens of millions and sit out because you're tired, that's a slap in the face to the people who paid to watch you. Jordan respected that. He respected the game, and he respected the fans whose support made his career possible.
Like you mentioned a little bit about today's game, because we had Clever on here, and he talked about load management. He said, I don't know what the hell that is. Where is it going? And that's number one. And number two, how do we get it back?
Even for me, I love the NBA game, but then I turn on to a game, right? And then the stars are not playing because of load management. It's hurting the game.
You know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me, and I want to shut him up. So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it, and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens.
He rolled his ankle badly, and a teammate told him to sit out and rest. Jordan refused. He said he was trying to build his name, prove what he could do, and show he belonged. That mindset never faded. Even when he became the biggest star on the planet, he still played for the kids sitting in the cheap seats, way up in the rafters. LeBron James, on the other hand, has played a full 82-game season exactly once, one time in more than 20 years. Players like Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and even Allen Iverson managed it multiple times. And here's where load management becomes so damaging. When the league's biggest star regularly sits out, it sends a message to everyone else. If LeBron can rest, why shouldn't the rest of the roster? It trickles down to the entire league. Role players start taking nights off. Bench guys start sitting out. Suddenly, the whole NBA treats regular season games like optional obligations that only matter if it s the playoffs. And the people who suffer the most are the fans. They pay premium prices, show up to the arena excited, and then see half the star players sitting on the bench in street clothes. Kevin McHale captured it perfectly when he said Jordan's era was different because Jordan set a different standard. When Michael Jordan was the face of the NBA, players showed up. They competed. They pushed through pain, because that's what the job demanded. Jordan himself missed 64 games in one season with a broken foot. Team management wanted to shut him down entirely. Jordan refused. He returned on a minutes restriction just so he could be on the floor, and when games came down to the final seconds, he insisted on playing. Not because he was chasing numbers or padding his resume, but because he couldn't live with letting his teammates or the fans down. What comes to mind when you hear the phrase load management?
What do you think of when you hear the term load management thrown around?
It shouldn't be needed, first and foremost. You know, I never wanted to miss a game because it was an opportunity to prove. It was something that I felt like, you know, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy.
You know, it's all about winning championships and
Today's players make $95 million and somehow claim they can handle playing basketball 4 times a week. They avoid back-to-backs, they demand rest days built into the schedule before the season even tips off. And fans are expected to simply accept it. How can people justify paying hundreds of dollars for tickets when the stars they came to see might not even take the floor? It's hurting the product. Viewers tune in for a marquee showdown only to learn the top players are sitting out because of load management. That never would have happened in Jordan's era. It never would have happened in Bird's. Because those players understood something today's generation seems to have lost: you earn what you get. You don't lean on potential or reputation. You show up and prove yourself every single night. Jordan and Bird each played fewer than 15 full seasons for one reason. They emptied the tank every game. Diving for loose balls, locking in defensively, doing whatever the moment demanded. They weren't pacing themselves for year 20. They weren't obsessed with longevity. They focused on that night, that season, that championship. Their careers burned brighter and shorter, and that intensity is what made them legends. And that's the contrast. Durant and LeBron have spent years chasing individual milestones, stats, scoring totals, all-time leaderboard placements. Jordan once said that if he cared about scoring records, he could have kept playing and gone after Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But that wasn't who he was. He cared about rings. He cared about winning. He cared about being the absolute best when the lights were brightest. There's another angle most people ignore. Jordan's generation earned their massive contracts and endorsements by building the league first. They made the NBA a must-see television. They created the global brand that modern players now benefit from. Only after dominating, winning championships, and filling arenas did the big money arrive. Today, players receive max contracts before they've even played a single NBA game. They sign million-dollar shoe deals based entirely on potential. And while that makes financial sense for the league, it fundamentally changes the mentality. When everything is handed to you up front, there's less hunger, less urgency to prove yourself night after night. Jordan and Bird came from an era where you had to earn every dollar, every endorsement, every shred of respect. Nothing was guaranteed. So when Durant says the goal is simply playing 20 years, he unintentionally exposes the real divide between generations. Jordan's aim was never to survive 2 decades and collect checks. His mission was to dominate, to be undeniable, to leave behind a standard no one could touch. And Jordan achieved all of that in just 13 full seasons. Durant and LeBron, with nearly 40 combined seasons, are still chasing his shadow. Every debate eventually returns to him. Every all-time list still places him at the top. No amount of longevity will ever rewrite that reality. And this is what makes Larry Bird's reported reaction so powerful. NBC recently brought Michael Jordan back into the NBA's media world. Why? Because even now, more than 2 decades after his final retirement, Jordan holds more sway than any active player. When Jordan speaks, the entire basketball world pays attention. When he says players should show up every night, respect the game, and respect the fans, the message cuts across eras. That is Jordan's response to Durant and LeBron. Not a podcast argument, not a tweet, not a defensive interview. His response is the fact that he still matters more than anyone playing today. His relevance, his legacy, his name, those speak louder than any comment Durant or LeBron could ever make. According to people close to him, this is exactly what Larry Bird has been telling friends and former teammates. Bird has reportedly said Jordan doesn't need to defend anything because his career already does the talking. The numbers speak. The championships speak. The way he competed speaks louder than any debate. Bird understands this as well as anyone because he built his own legacy the same way, through toughness, consistency, and showing up no matter the pain or situation. And Durant and LeBron can laugh on their podcast all they want. They can downplay championships. They can mock Jordan's baseball break. But at the end of the day, they're still chasing him. They're still being compared to him. They're still trying to convince people they belong in his stratosphere. And that, more than anything, tells the whole story. Jordan never had to persuade anyone of his greatness. He proved it every night, every season, every championship run. True greatness doesn't require 20 years to make its case. Sometimes it only takes one moment, one game, one season to show the world what the absolute peak looks like. And Jordan delivered 13 seasons filled with exactly that. Meanwhile, Durant and LeBron, with all their longevity, all their numbers, All their carefully stacked resumes still haven't matched what Jordan accomplished in essentially a decade. That isn't an opinion, it's simple math. It's history written in real time. So yes, Michael Jordan responded to Kevin Durant and LeBron James, and Larry Bird is standing right behind him. They just didn't need to say Durant and LeBron's names out loud to do it. Their careers, their mentality, the way they approach the game, that is the response. And it's louder than anything said on a podcast. Louder than excuses about rest days. Louder than jokes about baseball. Because when the noise fades and history writes its final lines, Jordan is still standing at the top and everyone else is staring upward, wondering what it must have felt like to reach that level. If you think today's NBA has lost the plot, hit that like button. If you believe players need to start respecting the game and the fans who make it all possible, drop a comment and share your thoughts. And if you want more breakdowns that reveal what's really happening in basketball, subscribe. This conversation is nowhere near finished.